Ahoy! Anchored with This That. In this episode, we have Joe Burford, UK Head of Creators at TikTok, and Luke Townsend, Global Head of Creative, Product and Marketing. The topic is From Vine to TikTok, a journey through the creator industry with early pioneers. What to expect from this episode? A glimpse into growing in and with the creator economy. Understanding what made these early pioneers interested, what made them stay, why TikTok, and how they wrestled with the intrinsic takeover of AI. What's your name, your job title, and company? And please, if you could, summarize what your role looks like.
Hi, I'm Jo Burford. I'm the Head of Creators across UK, Nordics and Ireland, and I look after creators across their whole journey from emerging all the way through to celebrities, public figures and athletes.
Hi, I'm Luke Townsend, Head of Creative Product and Marketing for Global Advertisers at TikTok, and my team focuses on building products that can help advertisers solve creative challenges on TikTok.
How did each of you get into the creator economy? And tell us a bit about your journeys.
So 2010, I was hired by a company called Talent House, and I worked there for just under 4 years, ended up working in LA, and I was based in a community-based role. And at the time, it was mostly vloggers, outreach. Video hadn't really started at that point, but it was very much around like influence based on people who were going to cool things and kind of reporting on them, blogger style. So got very much into blogger outreach and worked there for a while, absolutely loved it, got an opportunity to be out in LA, and then I saw video really progress. That's when I kind of caught the rise of Viners, and I started really following like Viners and 6-second looping videos, and at the time I didn't really understand like what that impact was going to make. Came back to the UK, and Luke was hiring for a creative partner manager.
I was hiring for a creative partner manager, a company called Niche, which was acquired by Twitter in 2015, and my job then was to build out a European team for what was then solely a North American team, and we hired Joe to help us build out the creator talent and network for Niche, of which he did a brilliant job, and yeah, that was it.
That was 2015 when I joined you. Yeah.
Well, we sort of yin and yanged around. So after Niche, which obviously was part of Twitter, I left to join Neil Waller at Whaler, working on their European business as they were really sort of starting out. And at the time, I think I was about 6 months in, I was talking to Jo about how she was getting on at Twitter, and managed to convince her to come over and take on a challenge at what was a very early startup then, and take on a very similar role, but then progressing more into marketing.
Yes, and I moved because of him actually.
How sweet.
I know. Well, after Luke left and then Vine obviously went under, as many people would know, there was a little bit of a gap in creativity there, and I just didn't really know where I was heading with the solution as it was. So I was definitely feeling like I was looking for another challenge. And Luke also worked with someone I've worked with at Talent House called Emma Harmon. So both of them there were a huge pull for me, because I'm all about working with as many friends as I possibly can makes me happy. So that was why I came over, and again, another great time was had. That was great days at Whaler.
It was
really good fun.
Real start-up time, installing kitchen sinks, all the jazz. No, it was good fun, and look, you know, it was a real learning curve about building the business. Whaler was a real pivotal stage of expanding not only in the UK, but really starting to think about how we entered the US. So we were there at a really fantastic time where it kind of expanded from, you know, a team of 20, you know, all the way up to, I think when we were there, it's probably about 120 by the time we left, and now it's a company of 300 plus, I believe. So, you know, overall a sort of great experience, and very fortunate to have Jo on that part of that journey.
It was also quite kind of sweet and emotional being back here, because I put together the stand for 2019 at Whaler.
You did.
And now I went back to the one they've just got now, much bigger and better than when I did it. Lots more money was spent, I think. But everything was entrepreneurial, it was finding solutions for things, and it just makes you so much more creative because you do have tiny budgets and you've got to work really hard, and you're punching up against, you're going up against Meta, and you're going up against all of these, places that have huge budgets, and you're this little startup. So very much like like how can I innovate and stand out in a place where I can't match the money? So we did it, and we did really well, and we had a great time, and everyone hung out at our stand. And I think also the talent at Whaler was really good. Neil hired really well. So we were surrounded by people that high energy, really believed in creators. And back then in 2019, handful of creators rocking up here, handful. You could have put like 10 maximum. Now almost 5 years later, it's a complete change.
They're on every interaction panel, everything you can see. So the creator economy has become a lot more professionalized, a lot more respected, taken much more seriously by advertisers. I think TikTok played a big role in that as well, because creators are such a lifeblood of TikTok. If you didn't have creators on TikTok, you wouldn't really have anything. And I think that has propelled a professionalization of the creator economy that I think we see today. I think obviously helped by the platforms as well. But I would say that TikTok has been a bigger driver of that. And if you think about the timing as well, we had the pandemic, TikTok really exploded at that time. So that space from when Joe and I were here in 2019 all the way through to now, it's just completely transformational. I mean, we can go even further on it, but Gen AI is a big topic here at Cannes this year, and that is going to be the next phase of how that sort of shapes the creator economy. So we've definitely seen a lot of different iterations. I think when we started back at Niche, it was finding who looked cool, who had good organic numbers, who was up for a partnership. Let's see what happens.
The good old days.
It was fun. Yeah,
it was fun because you didn't have to always have an answer around a data metric.
No, there was no
Somebody
pressure.
get told off from this. But the pressure to kind of deliver something more than a partnership around creativity was quite low.
Yeah.
Now the demands obviously on the spend so much higher, and that obviously comes in as a factor in the commercialization of content.
Having been pathfinders for over a decade, what keeps you excited to continue working in the creator economy?
For me, it's just people. I'm fascinated by people, incredibly inquisitive. I love everyone's backstories. I love everyone's, future journeys. I love being a part of their success via the access I get to making things happen. So many people that I still count as friends are people that I gave their first brand deal to, and they kind of stay with you forever. I think it's a really tight-knit community, and that's for me, it's the people and the people in it, for sure.
Yeah, I think the community is great, and the community where I got to really learn a lot. I learned a lot of Joe when we started off Niche, and the power of that community. And I think a lot of creators have a bad rep, but the ones that I've come across and worked with in proper partnership have been really, really decent people. And they come from really diverse backgrounds as well. Like you look at Aaron Kraskell, right? He was like a builder back in the day, and now look at what he's doing. He's on TV. I think he's even releasing a movie, isn't he? Or something?
Yeah. So
it's quite incredible. So I think the community part is great. I think what also keeps me into it is it's not static. It's not like search advertising, which search advertising is completely different. I know, and different forms of it, but this is really developmental, and it changes, platforms change it, people change it, and technology changes it. So it's multifaceted, I think, in that regard, and I think that's what keeps it interesting. And I think the creativity is brilliant. And, I think it's only going to change with Gen AI. I think VR, AR. If you look at the gaming space and creators, it's fascinating. I mean, if you really want to get into creators, go and look at gaming. They are way ahead of everyone, and that's a fascinating area as well.
What are your thoughts on the growth of AI in the creator economy, where control for IP is becoming ever more important?
Is we give them the control, right? So I think the fear from creators, is that they're worried that they might be usurped or their image might be used in a particular way. And look, there are obvious risks, right? And I think everyone is new into the industry, and every company is trying to work that through. But I think if you build from a place of what we build at TikTok, safety first, right, and protecting our users and protecting our creators, and that's how we think about when we build products. I think you can only start there, and very much in terms of our creative products and generative AI products, you do have a lot of control. So script generation, if you want to build a script as a creator, you know, you have every bit of control around what that script looks like, and you work with your advertiser or brand that you're working with and can send it over, and they have control of edit. So there is a lot more control. I think the control aspect is the concern that, as I said, images being used in like avatars and licensing is you know, important to them. But I think if the industry acts in the right way, in a responsible way, then I think there'll be more control than people think there will be.
I think as well, this industry, the real backbone of it, and it's get used all the time and it can sound a little overused, is the authenticity becomes even more important. So when I notice that people have typos and things, I think fantastic, you didn't use ChatGPT, I love that. And the kind of the frailty of being human will become even more powerful because it's going up against things that are like technologically advanced, but the real thing is the people will never be. It's like your character will always need to shine through, and that can only come from real interaction. So actually, I think it's a great place to become a personality creator, like, more than ever, because that is what people are looking to connect with. I think the AI stuff, from what I see from creators, is most of them kind of embrace it, you know, from what I see.
I mean, also, I mean, the usage, if we're honest, and you actually talk to creators, not many of them are using a lot of it, right? And I think we hype it up and talk about it. I think that will come in time as there's more understanding. I mean, for creators, it's a time thing, right? So when you're taking your content, how do I let my creativity thrive? But how do I speed that up at the demand if you're working in brand partnerships that brands want? And that's the big thing, is brands are frustrated because creation can take a lot of time. And I think the big part of generative AI is around speed, not usurping creativity, and I just don't think creators would have it, to be honest with you.
Great.
Who is an industry change maker to you in the creator economy?
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's
so
a big one, isn't it?
I think I'd probably say somebody who has been there from the very start and is constantly iterating, and actually is more of a businessman now, and he invests in creator economy businesses, is Julius Dean. So Julius came into my life as someone who did pranks, and he was very much on the back of like Ben Phillips and all that kind of prank stuff that was really popular back in 2019 or 2018 even, maybe even earlier, maybe like 2016. 2016. 2016, and he came and he was like, I don't just want to do this, there's so much more I want to do. And we kind of did like a strategy session. He just sort of, told me all the things he wanted to achieve, and he's done that and 10x that. I mean, he's gone beyond that. Yeah, so for me, I'd say he has been a real change maker, because he's now still showing that once maybe you want to grow out of being a content creator, there's also then a whole other world for you. There's investments, there's having your own industry, investments, having your own agency, investing in other companies, helping other content creators, running your own studio. And that is something that I think is very unique to him, but also shows that it could be accessible to any creator if they have the smart strategy. So I would say Julius is probably one of the change makers I would call out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe's mentioned, on the creator side, if you look at the company side, and someone that Joe and I worked with quite early on is Dom at Gleam, when he founded Gleam. And I think, Gleam, and it was sort of a competitor to us in a way, because they were obviously selling their talent, but we worked with a lot of their talent at the time, and Dom was way ahead of the way he was thinking about creator partnerships and working with advertisers, moving from a sort of talent model to a creator/influencer model. And obviously, I mean, Casper can talk to this when you speak to him, but Casper obviously worked with Gleam for a very long time. And I think Dom, and the way that he thinks about the industry, he was definitely way ahead, and he still continues to iterate and be very involved in a lot of companies since he sold the business to Dentsu. So he would be a sort of early change maker for me in the industry in terms of a business owner.
Definitely. I mean, he's also working on the AI kind of influencer side as well. And yeah, he's someone I always look to. Again, back to the kind of community feeling of why we're still in it. Even though it's got global reach, the network is very supportive. Like, we're all kind of one stop away from each other, and everybody does sort of share their insight and knowledge a lot, and that's what makes it so close, I think.
How are you making marketing more enjoyable?
To look at enjoyable, right? There's the I guess, the journey that a brand would take and a creator would take in terms of a partnership. So I think, how do you make that more enjoyable in terms of making that easier? Because I think on the brand side, there is still a little bit of a view of it being the Wild West slightly in some degree. And I think making it more enjoyable by educating them on how to work with creators in a more sort of professional and sophisticated way, but also remove some of that fear, and remove some of that caution, I think. And what I mean by caution is not just worrying about what creators you're working with, but give them freedom to have creative expression and let those guardrails down a little bit. Obviously within the framework of how their brand principles work. But I think that's a good way of looking at how you can make it more enjoyable for the brand. I think on the creator side, making it more enjoyable simply by being a good partner. And I'm interested in what some of the companies are doing at the moment with regards to the creator economy and supporting creators in their journey to build successful businesses and thrive. If you look at Whaler and Billion Dollar Boy, for example, they've effectively opened up creator university/campuses, which provide sort of those areas where creators can come together as a collective, but they can also learn how to build themselves and build a sustainable business. I mean, you know, it's all very well being a content creator and influencer, but building a business, it is quite a challenging and daunting prospect. And I think if this economy is going to thrive, there's going to need to be more support in that. And also, I do worry on the terms of the creators not having an enjoyable experience, because they'll become commoditized, and these are people we're talking about. And if you start thinking of it in a commoditized view and you're, you know, quite far removed from the process, that can be at the detriment of a creator, right? So I think that is important in terms of making sure each party has an enjoyable experience.
I'd say we still hear, which I find just crazy, and we hear about it all the time, there are brands still sending scripts out. just blows my mind. I'm like, I have my friends say, God, it's terrible. Like, they sent me this script, and sometimes it's positioned as talking points, and it isn't talking points, it's a script. And I think if that just needs to go now, I think that it's obvious, it's you know, it's something that the creator really doesn't like. And also, it's not something that the brand gets back that feels good. There's not many people that are really good at reading scripts unless they're an actor, you know. It's hard to read a script. So I think more creativity and less anxiety over landing complicated corporate messages. Like, that's just got to stop. But yeah, that's what I'd say.
I think making it more enjoyable, I was talking on a panel earlier, and I think failure is one of the best things, you know, that you can do in creative marketing. If you don't fail, you don't learn. I mean, obviously not to the extent that you bring your brand into massive, you know, disrepute and you're on the front page of the Sun. That's a different matter. But what I mean is, at a fundamental level, being able to test and learn and bring some enjoyment to it for yourself, and also that's part of the process. Otherwise it becomes too rigid and you just don't really learn much and you don't expand and grow.
And now, time for a game and a chance to get to know our guests on a bit more of a personal level. It's time for a series of this or that questions.
I'll go for this.
Okay, Joe, what is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Guilty pleasure TV show, you'll never guess, because I live in the middle of Hackney. I don't even have a balcony, let alone a garden. But my Friday night, if I don't watch Gardener's World with Monty Don, then it's a sad start to the weekend for me.
That is superb. That is really superb. Is it my go now?
Yes, you choose one of these.
That.
Okay. Luke, what did you want to be as a kid?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be an RAF pilot.
So you.
It is very
He might as well
yeah.
be. He's got like 10 bikes and drives around like an RAF pilot.
I like machines, and I thought I always wanted to fly a Spitfire as a kid, and I grew up with a lot of aircraft and model planes, so it's kind of my geeky side, and I thought I'd like to be an RAF pilot. Unfortunately, I get motion sick, so I had to throw that out the window. Right. Well, you got to pick the next one now, which is that. If you were to become a creator tomorrow, what vertical would you talk about?
Ooh, so I've been pondering this for a while because everyone always says to me, with all the knowledge I've got, why don't I do it myself? But it's like when you're a chef, you come home and make a sandwich. It's the same kind of thing. But there is an area that I'm really interested in because it's happening to me. So turning 45, and I'm going to do female hormonal health entering perimenopause.
Wow.
Check that out, the most unsexiest thing ever. But
It's
you
an
know,
important one,
it's
though.
important. It happens to every woman, and we don't talk about it enough.
I 100% agree. Very important topic.
Your last one?
Yes.
Okay.
This.
What is your hidden talent?
My hidden talent that some people know about but a lot don't know about is that I have a language degree and I speak Russian, Serbian and German. And I did a degree in those and I lived in those countries. So that's my hidden talent. It's a bit of a... I'm quite good when it comes to Slavic languages because everything's a derivative from Russian basically, so I can surprise and delight people in very random countries and people say that's definitely a talent. So
It's so cool. And also, we had someone with us that was Japanese for like 2 weeks in the office. By the time they'd left, he could already pretty much converse with them. I was like, what the hell? How can you even do that? He was just like talking to them in Japanese. He was like, well, she's been here ages. I was like, it's been 2 weeks.
my brain works in a way I listen and I can process.
Yeah.
It's just it's memory, that's all it is.
I'm 285 days Duolingo and I can still only order a beer.
Wow, that's the most important thing on the list, isn't it?